Well, hello. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are on the planet. Thank you for joining me today. If you're not aware, I'm Anna. I run Lorena's Labyrinth, and I try to put content up that's going to be helpful to people, that empowers them to live the life that they desire and see in their mind, basically fulfill their divine plan and find meaning in their life. Today, we're going to be talking about the colour Auburn, but I just want to remind everybody that while I say thank you to you all for being part of this journey, that I encourage you all to leave your own thoughts, feedback, and experience in the comment sections of the videos, or just to say g'day, right? All comments and discussion are welcome because this is a very open-minded platform. So straight off the get-go, if I can actually talk, it was difficult to find an image and to try and portray the colour Auburn in a balanced type way to help you to visualise. Now, as usual, if I haven't done a good job of it as far as colour matching, I don't think that's truly a bad thing. It allows you guys to follow your own guidance and find the colour that feels right to you, because it's got to be something that resonates and feels okay. So you can adjust these hues and colours that I present to you. When we're talking about Auburn, though, we're talking about a colour mix that is primarily orange, yellow. Being orange or earthy, it brings in the properties of the red and the yellow, so it creates this orange shade anyway, but its depth is going to vary because of how much of colours such as brown go in. Now, brown is a mixture of colours as well. It brings in properties and elements, if you like, of the blacks and the blues as well. So when we're talking about which chakra does the colour Auburn relate to, I think it relates probably to all of them in varying ways, but it's the shade of orange, the shade of Auburn that you're looking at, that is going to dictate the strength of the chakra association. So, and not just that, by the way, it's also going to depend on the intent and purpose that you're using the colour for. In many ways, it's a kind of rusty type colour, I guess. But either way, because as you see from the orange of the leaves, shall we say, or the auburn of the leaves, it's a very, very earthy colour, and as such it assists to help us to ground. And when we ground regularly, we are connecting to the universal pool of knowledge, because it's that as above, so below. Now, to try and describe this a little bit more, I've put this image up of the tree roots. So when I do grounding exercises, as an example, I will visualize cords like roots from the tree that go deep, deep down into the earth, connecting to the pool of wisdom that's there. And in my mind, I kind of visualize a circle. I've got activities, I've put other videos up that have got different visuals on there, but this is just to give you a little bit of strategy here. If you want to know which video it is, ask me in the comments and I'll find the link for you. Energy workers and metaphysical workers are going to particularly benefit from doing grounding activities, and I'll speak about this in a moment. But the bottom line is that when we work with Auburn, the benefits are that you can expect to have higher levels of patience, greater stability, and a more practical and logical approach to life. And this is important, that final sentence, for the energy workers. So the reason that metaphysical and energy workers need to be very attentive and focus on ensuring that, if I can speak, ensuring that they ground after doing their service or energy work, includes the fact that, because it's not just about this, but the bottom line is that there is a risk of instability, and that includes emotional and psychological instability, or at least where they might appear that way to people around them, because there is potential to become extremely emotionally reactive. Now, the reason why this is the case is because when they are doing the energy work, they have to raise their personal vibration. They raise it very high to be able to connect with these beautiful light beings. And when we raise our energy that high, everything is beautiful. It is pure love. It is pure, sweet, nice, kind. There's no malice. Everything is beautiful. And the best way to describe it is energy workers that can do this will actually turn around and say, I love it up there. Everybody's nice up there. But the reality is we are walking on the earth plane so that we can have an earthly and human experience. And we will return to being spirits, obviously, once we let go of the body. But for now, while we're working on the earth, we've got to be able to interact and connect with people at an earthly level. And that can be challenging because without that balance and without doing the grounding, then the earth plane, if you like, and being a human can be very, very challenging and very confronting. And this is part of the reason, in my observations, is, and certainly my experience, is because when we're working at this high level space, we can actually neglect to follow up on our responsibilities, is one of the things. And I'll give you an example without going too far in it. It can be forgetting to take care of our responsibilities in as far as well, one example for me was actually I had the money, I could have paid the electricity bill, but of course I was distracted, I wasn't paying attention, and the first reminder that I get of it is that the electricity is cut off, or the reminder notice comes in saying pay this bill, or you are scheduled to be disconnected on such and such a day. That can be quite confronting and challenging, and also it's completely devoid of responsibility. Other things that can happen is when you're distracted, and I actually had this yesterday. Ugh, I'm still living through the pain of this one, is you're not paying attention to what you're doing and you have little mini accidents, and that can be hurtful. I mean, nothing major serious. For me, it was I actually kicked my little toe on the corner of something. If you've ever had that happen, that was a real case of ouchie wowa, saw stars, did a bit of a spin, landed in a chair, and had to sit there for a few minutes while I waited for the energy to get back into my knees so that I could walk. It was quite painful at the time, but it's fine now. But it's perfectly avoidable had I been focused in the present moment and what I was doing. So these are just examples of how it can interrupt our life and living, not in big ways, but in inconvenient ways, creating a bit of tension and hardship for ourselves. But the worst case is for energy workers where they haven't actually maintained the balance and they've been off with it. They're at this really high level, putting a polite spin on it, off with the fairies, just doing their thing. And then all of a sudden they finish doing their thing, but they don't ground, they don't recenter, they don't do that completion part of their activity. And they turn on the TV or they watch the news or something like that, and they see some of the horrors that happen on the earth plane. And some of them, let's be real, they are very horrific, and it can become completely emotionally distressing for the person and impact on their mood, and even make them quite depressed and sad and that kind of stuff. And I often wonder, and I do speculate as somebody that's worked in the mental health field, if this is something that is happening for people that are actually diagnosed with conditions such as bipolar, where they swing from one to the other. But either way, point being that unless we're grounding, it only takes one small reality check that can be the mechanism that brings our entire emotional, spiritual structure falling down. So we've got to make sure that we ground, we've got to make sure that we're balanced, and that we can work effectively while we walk the path of life. So, because grounding is such an important aspect of living and being on the earth plane, I've got lots of different strategies. I don't think I've put them all up yet on the channel, but I will put more up over time. Certainly, at least, I think there's a couple of them. But for now, I'm going to share an activity with you that, once again, is very simple. It's one that actually I like to do. And it's one that is easy to do here in Australia because we've got the weather for it. We don't have to worry about walking outside and standing in snow. Even on a wet day, it's still okay for us to go and stand outside. If you can't physically do this activity, then visualize it. See it in your mind's eye, where you're standing in your garden in bare feet. I like to physically do it. Your bare feet are magnetically attached and locked to the surface of the earth. Now, the other thing that I do too is I actually extend my arms out from my body and I raise my palms upwards. So what you do is you invoke the healing, grounding energy to come through your body. I do it from the crown, bring the light through from the heavens. I then bring it through my body, down through my feet and into the core of the earth. And that's the inhale. And on the exhale, I bring it back up from the center or the core of the earth through my body and back up to the heavens. Now, the idea of this is that the light will circulate throughout the entirety of the body from the feet to the crown. Basically, if we're talking about our own aura and body, it goes up and down through our body. And what we're doing is we're actually centering our energy as well into the solar plexus chakra, which is where it needs to be centered while we're walking with our practical responsibilities, the day-to-day living, catching up with the next door neighbor and stuff like that. We don't need to be at that very high level at that time frame. We actually need to be centered in a positive space to be able to interact with those people around us. But anyway, so yes, bare feet, do the energy work, the breath work, see the light coming up and down your body. Now, as you do this activity, by the way, the more you do it, the easier it gets, and you will start to feel energy. If you don't feel it immediately, if you're new to energy work, you will start to feel it. You might feel it as warmth or tingling, but there will be a sensation that occurs within your body. And so it's a case of allowing yourself to feel this sensation, to feel connected, to feel at one with the earth, with the planet, with the universe. And one of the things that you can do as part of this process is to do this affirmation, or you can invoke. There's other ways of doing it. Use your imagination if you're not comfortable with this one. And the bottom line is too that when I do it, I don't actually spin around like the lady in this video. I actually just stand there and I actually breathe the connection in, and you would sit with it as long as you feel that you need to, okay? For me, I think when I first started doing this kind of stuff, I might have spent a good 5 or 10 minutes out there trying to ground and connect. But as time has gone by, I actually have adjusted the strategy as well for myself. I will go out with the same intention and affirmation and that kind of thing. But if I'm short of time, I will maybe do a 3-minute one or something like that. But before I start, I might stomp my feet and shake my hands, things like that, to basically get it all happening for me. So they're just some goodness me, what am I saying? I'm stumbling over my words. These are just some, I did it again. I'm not going to re-record this. I'm sorry. You're just going to have to put up with it. Okay. These are some tips and strategies that I'm sharing with you, and I hope they're beneficial. Do let me know how it goes for you. I'm always interested to hear other people's experiences, especially around the tips and strategies I give, because I know just through the fact that I've taught people different ways to connect with energy, that it's not one size fits all. Some people are more comfortable with one activity, other people are more comfortable with another one. And a prime example of that is for people that develop their clairvoyance and they actually open up to see their gifts, which is how I learned that it's different for different people. Some people will see the chakras as being balls, some people will see them as being lotus flowers, and yet other people will see them as being funnels, which is, I find, very interesting. But this is the same thing with what works for one person won't necessarily work for another. That's why I encourage people to leave their feedback. But anyway, moving on. For now, though, I'm going to say thank you very much for being part of my journey. I'm going to get going, crack on with the next video. I'm going to wish you a wonderful day, a wonderful week. Take care of yourself. Stay blessed. I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye for now.